What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another second stimulus check update and stimulus plan update video. Today, we have more details I want to bring to you. We have more updates from Nancy Pelosi. We have more updates from Steve Mnuchin and Larry Kudlow, all saying that stimulus negotiations are starting to come together. Before I get into the bulk of the updates for today, I first want to address the second stimulus check and unemployment. Many people have been asking, when will we see a second stimulus check and how much will it be? I just want those answers. Well, I'm going to give you that right now. But before I do that, I also want to address unemployment as well. So I'm going to go over stimulus check. Then I will talk about the unemployment agreement that we know of right now. So first, most people have been asking, how much will the second stimulus check be? Well, we know from Nancy Pelosi, Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, and Larry Kudlow, and even President Trump, that the second stimulus check will be for $1,200 for filers. It will also be $1,200 for their spouse. However, and this is what we don't know as of yet, is how much will it be for dependents? Right now, we have word that they are slightly in favor of the $1,000 per dependent, but that is per child dependent. So if this is the way both Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi decide to go, that means that any adult dependent would not receive any funding, would not receive a stimulus check. Now, I know many people are going to be upset by that, but that is what they are talking about right now. That is actually what the offer was from the Trump administration in the last offer, was $1,200 for filers and $1,000 for child dependents. The other issue that we don't know as of right now is, will this also include people with an ITIN number? Democrats say they want to include a stimulus check to anybody with an ITIN number. However, Republicans say no, we only want to give a stimulus check to somebody with a social security number. ITIN, no go. But we will see what happens there. And what we know right now is anybody that owes back child support would continue to see that stimulus check. They would not have that stimulus check garnished and pulled to pay off any back child support. So, if you do owe back child support, you would receive a stimulus check in this edition, or in this example. Now, in regards to unemployment, or actually let me step one step backwards and just say, when will we receive the second stimulus check? Here's what we know right now. What we know right now, and I'm going to break down a little bit more of this in this video as well, is what we know is that as of right now, Nancy Pelosi has pretty much set Election Day as the deadline. We need an agreement. We need to have everything agreed upon and a bill written. Hopefully votes are already going through the House and through the Senate. Again, I'm going to explain that to you in a minute, but she wants that done by Election Day. Well, that's about 12 days away. So that means they need to agree on something now. If we get agreement, if we get both the House and the Senate to pass the bill, and we get President Trump's signature before Election Day, that means we could see a stimulus check probably after the first week of November. So I'm saying probably around, let's see, the 2nd, no, it would be like the 9th. So I'd say anywhere between the 10th through the 15th would probably be the earliest that we would see a stimulus check come into the first wave of bank accounts through direct deposit. So that is, I guess, is some good news that we're starting to get closer. The only problem is we've been waiting for months. So how much good is this really going to do after 5 or 6 months of waiting for an additional $1,200 check? Now, in regards to unemployment, there is agreement from both sides that they do want to provide additional unemployment to people that are on state unemployment. So they want to provide that federal unemployment benefit. Right now, we know the unemployment benefit will at least be $400 per week, but it could be as high as $600. What we could also see, and again, we don't know, what we do know is it will be $400 or higher, and it will be $600 or less. So got about a $200 gap right there. It will be somewhere around there. But what we could see is a mix of $400 per week and $600 per week. We could see where the initial, 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever they want to do, could be $600 per week until they get the systems in place where you could not get more than 100% of your wage replacement, which means if you only made $400 per week at your normal job and then they pay you $600 per week, technically you make more than your wage. So they drop you back down to $400 per week, and that is what you would get. So we could see a mix of that. And I think both Democrats and Republicans have agreed that could be a good possibility, but they want to make sure the initial funding's there. Democrats want $600 per week. Republicans only want $400. Also, we have agreement on the end date. We do not have clarification of when the unemployment benefits would begin. We know that Republicans wanted to start on September 13th. Democrats wanted to start on September 6th, so just 1 week apart. However, we don't know which one they're going to go with. Will it be September 6th or will it be September 13th? My guess is it will be September 6th, and it will go all the way until January 31st of 2020. So, got a pretty good timeline. The best part about this, Nancy Pelosi has already stated this, Steve Mnuchin has already agreed that yes, it will be retroactive. So, just because we're already almost in November doesn't mean you won't get any back pay. You will continue to get any retroactive pay all the way up until the day that it is. So, if let's say it came out today or this week, well, you'd get a unemployment benefit check from October. What will this be? 20, whatever it is. Okay, let's say 25th. That would be the Sunday, all the way back until September 6th or 13th. So you'd get just a lump sum. So that would be really good right there. Now, right now, the two sides are coming closer to a stimulus deal, but they are getting held up on the language at almost every turn, every topic, every policy. They are getting held up because of the language. Nancy Pelosi is adamant that we need to make sure the language is right. The language has to be right. It's not the dollar figure. It's the language. Right now, this is where we're getting caught up. We're getting caught up with liability protections. Again, it's all the language. Testing, tracing, and treatment. We are still hammering out the details of the language. However, Nancy Pelosi said she received documents today, and it looks like we're getting there. Also, the language for tax credits and tax breaks, language for school funding, how much money will they get, when will they get it, where will the funding go, also state and local funding. That is continue to be an issue, and I think it will continue to be an issue clear until we actually have an agreement. I don't think it's going to be the first thing that we get off the list. It's going to be the very last thing they have to agree upon. I think it's going to be the hardest thing to agree. And lastly, childcare funding as well. The best thing that we as Americans can hope for at this point is that both parties continue to negotiate and get closer to a deal, but as long as they negotiate in good faith for the American people that actually have lost so much. Nancy Pelosi stated today that the two sides are just about there in regards to reaching a stimulus agreement, but they continue to work on key issues. That was also reiterated by Larry Kudlow as well, and has been reiterated by Mark Meadows over the past few days. We have heard this for months, and this is nothing new, that right now we know they're working towards an agreement. Well, that's great. The problem is, negotiators have been working towards an agreement for several months. And we are truly nowhere closer, in my opinion. We aren't any closer today than we were 5 months ago. The only difference is right now we have more clarity. We're getting updates on a daily basis from our negotiators. And I think that's making things very difficult for us as a YouTuber or somewhat media, and also people watching, is when are we going to get an answer? Well, Nancy Pelosi kind of gives us an answer, and I'm going to bring that to you in just a second. But Nancy Pelosi went on to say, if we can resolve some of these things in the next few days, it will take a while to write the bill. this is not great news. This is not great news because this is the last thing people want, is to wait even longer to see a bill written. We have an agreement, let's say Friday, that's tomorrow. Well, that's great, but we got to wait several more days to have the bill written. Then we have to wait 72 hours, to have the bill publicly viewable to the public, and then they can vote on it. This is just taking way too long. And honestly, this should have been worked on months ago. Now, we want answers. We love the honesty. I'm glad Nancy Pelosi is honest with us here. However, I wish she was honest from the beginning. I don't think she was. I don't think any politician would ever be honest, 100% honest, but at least we're getting some honesty here. Now, Larry Kudlow was asked today how things are going, and he said this: the Speaker and Mnuchin continue to have talks and will continue to have talks until an agreement is reached. He also stated that there is still significant policy differences between the two teams, and those two policy differences have not yet been resolved. Those two significant policy differences, one is state and local government funding, and the other one is liability protections. Those are the two big ones that they are still a ways away on. Now again, this is not the best news, but we like the honesty. But the good thing about this is that what he stated was that they're going to continue to make progress. They'll continue to talk no matter what until an agreement is reached. Now, what we don't want to hear, doesn't matter from who, doesn't matter if it's from President Trump, Steve Mnuchin, or Nancy Pelosi, what we do not want to hear is that the two sides are at a stalemate. They are at an impasse once again. If we hear that, that will be devastating news to the American people. Now, when Larry Kudlow was asked about the deadline, asked about the time frame for this to pass, this is what he said. I quote, "The clock is ticking. At some point, you gotta ask yourself, just to get legislative agreements and votes in two houses and committee print, that takes time. We've got like 12 days left. The clock is ticking." Now here's the tough part. The clock has been ticking for months. Why didn't we get closer months ago on an agreement? Why are we waiting till just a week before the election to try to get something passed? It just doesn't add up. And this makes it look very evident that both the Trump administration and Nancy Pelosi did not want to pass any stimulus before the election, which makes me wonder why. Well, I don't think we'll ever know. Now, with everything that Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi are working towards, some feel that Mnuchin is giving away the store. That is from a GOP staffer. Another GOP staffer said there are not 13 votes for this pile of crap Mnuchin is capitulating on. Well, we will see when it actually happens. It passes through the House and goes to the Senate. Hopefully, we'll have at least 13 Republican votes, but we don't know yet. What you gotta remember is that the Senate is comprised of 47 Democrats, which means we gotta have 60 votes on the Senate floor for something to pass through the Senate. That means we need 13 Republicans on board. I'd be happier if we had like 15, just in case one Democrat decided, no, it's too much, I don't want to go for it. So I'd rather have 15 Republicans on board. I think we'll get there, but many senators do not. However, many people with knowledge of senators' thinking believe that we will not get the 13 votes because multiple senators will not support a bill that is exceeding or approaching $1.9 trillion. Now, I just want you to be aware of what's going on right now, because right now we are seeing progress between Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi. President Trump is signing off on all these agreements. That's great. Well, once Nancy Pelosi is satisfied with this idea, with this proposal or bill, it will be sent over and we will have it written into an actual bill. At this point, which will take several days, we will then see the House vote on it first. Once the House votes on this, it will be kicked over to the Senate for the Senate to vote. Mitch McConnell says he does not want to vote on it before the election because it will slow down the Amy Coney Barrett confirmations. Well, we still need stimulus. That is just as important as a Supreme Court seat. So, he did say that he will put it on the floor and see how the Senate votes. Well, this is going to take some time, but I just want to be clear that there's still a chance. President Trump signs off on it. Nancy Pelosi says, yep, that's exactly what I want, which is probably going to be almost identical to her $2.2 trillion HEROES Act 2.0, which we waited for forever. But once this happens, we're going to see agreement from Steve Mnuchin. We're going to see agreement from Nancy Pelosi. President Trump's going to sign off on it, and then we still have the possibility. Okay, I don't want to say it's going to happen. It's a possibility that the Senate does not approve, does not pass this, and we're right back to where we started. Doesn't matter if it's before the election or after. There's still a possibility that some senators say, no, it's too expensive, we're not going to go for it, which then means back to the drawing board. No American gets any stimulus. No business gets any stimulus money. The airlines will not get bailed out. Renters will not get rental assistance. People that are hungry will not get food assistance. And the list goes on and on and on. So, I just want to be 100% clear with you. That is what's going on now. Also want to remind you, okay, that tonight is the final presidential debate, which starts at 9 p.m. Pacific or Eastern Standard Time. So, make sure you go and tune into that, because my guess is it will be another great one. It will be a doozy. So let me know if you go and watch it. Let me know what your thoughts are on that down in the description box below. I might do a quick little update after that. Might do a little highlight reel, but we will see if I feel up to it or not. So thank you guys for watching. As always, as I learn more, I will continue to share more. So again, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't done so already, click that button down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.